Hey guys, my name is Iku and I'm a Grandmaster Genji player with over 1,500 hours on Genji. And today I've decided to make you guys a small guide which hopefully is gonna help you a bit. The first episode right now is gonna consist of video settings, mouse settings, what kind of setting you should have in Overwatch, and then we have playstyles and what is Genji actually. So this guide is gonna be more of like for people who are like below master, etc. So like a bit low elo. Because Genji is playable in lower elo, but on high elo is a bit very different playstyle. From Grandmaster to above to like on top 500 Genji, the character becomes like completely different. Anyways, yeah, let's get into it. Also, this video is not scripted, so I'm trying to speaking everything from my mind. I might be a bit stuttering because English is not my first language, so I do apologize for that. But if you guys have any question, do not hesitate to comment below or even slide my DMs and ask me any question regarding this video. Anyways, yeah. Before we start into the game, if you guys are new to Overwatch, you guys have never played the game before, I recommend you guys watching better videos that explains the macro of the game. For example, A10 Nerd on YouTube, he has a really good educational content. I would definitely recommend you guys to watch him. Or Spillo OW. English is not my first language, and even if I try to explain you guys, I wouldn't even be able to explain you guys in detail like they do, because they're actually really good at it. So first off, we have a video settings. So let's go see you guys. You guys see right here. So this is my monitor. Just to make sure that your settings or your monitor setting is on the highest frequency. So just always go to your NVIDIA control panel and make sure it's 280 Hz. I had a friend out there where he had like 240 Hz monitor, but he was playing on 60 Hz on the whole fucking year. That's in like it's kind of crazy because it puts you a lot in this disadvantage. Like I think ideally it would be good if you have like around a 144 Hz monitor, but if you have higher, even better. Next up, we have a mouse. So type in the search bar here mouse. You have a mouse settings here. Click on it. Then you go into additional mouse option, and then pointer option. Make sure you have this enhanced pointer precision off. What it does, I'm not really a tech as I said before, but having this on will kind of mess up your muscle memory, etc. And especially when you're a hit scan player, it's not really good. Like you can do a research about it on Google. What it does, I think, is like if you the further you move your mouse, the faster it is, I think, or something like that. I would recommend to have it off if you guys want to have it like a consistent aim, etc. It really doesn't matter what kind of sense do you use, but I recommend using sense on Genji like maybe 800 DPI, and I use 9 in game. What I recommend you guys move around like 7, or you can even go lower, but like never go lower than 5, because it's gonna be really hard to you to like move around with Genji, and Genji is a very mechanical character, especially when you need to like do a 180 dash, or like you need to like dash in and then turn around really quick. So with a lower sense, you will have the better accuracy, but it also is going to be harder for you to control your blade, especially in blade. So let's say you are using blade and you're using only 5 in game sense. What it's going to do is going to be kind of hard for you to like dash and then turn around and slash. Alright, let's go to the Overwatch settings here. Anyways, so first off, what I do in a video option, make sure you have the highest resolution here. And dynamic render scale should be off. I just put like render scale like custom like 100. So if you're running on a lower spec, so like let's say your PC is not good, then you can put it around like 75. Your game might look like really paladin, like very pixelated a bit, but you will have better FPS, and the better FPS you have, the more advantage you have, right? I'm just gonna keep it at like 100 because I have a decent PC. I recently upgraded my PC. Thanks to you guys also, by the way. So for those who are watching out there, thank you so much for watching my videos. And maximum frame rate, I put it around like 300 because I have a 280 Hz monitor. And you know, reduce buffering could be on and off. I think it's better if you leave it off. And NVIDIA Reflex, if you have a good PC, make sure to have it on if you have it good. If you don't have it, and I think just put it disabled or enabled. I think it's just enough. Anyways, moving on graphic quality. Honestly, these are my graphic quality. I haven't really tested around, but I've never played on ultra, and especially as a Genji player, you need to have the lowest quality in my opinion. Like the lower the better. But I feel like if you play everything on the ultra quality, what it's gonna do is like you have the sun lighting, you have the shadow, and you have everything else like very distracting. Like I wouldn't even be surprised if I play on the highest quality. I would probably blade a shadow, for example. It would be really funny. So yeah, so this is my graphic quality. Probably there are probably better guys out there to explain your graphic quality, etc. Alright, let's move on to playstyle. Okay, first of all, I need to make a comment about this. So I'm not a coach myself, as I've mentioned before. This is all from my own guide. I've never watched a Genji guide before. Even if I did, I don't remember much. So I'm just trying to make like, so I kind of came up with a different playstyle and how do I call it according from myself. So it's not like universal, like, okay, I'm gonna call this like this playstyle and it's gonna be like that 100% most of the time. But I hopefully I will try to like help you guys understanding what I'm talking about here. So I came up with the notes. You guys, I'm not gonna lie, I don't have the script, so I have a bunch of notes right there. I went to a library just to write it to myself, and hopefully this video is gonna help because I'm not really a guide person, you know. I've never done a guide before, so yeah. So I came up with a playstyle called team-based Genji, and what you actually do is like you play Genji very default. So like following up your tanks, your main objective is gonna build blade to combo. So your win condition is gonna be building your blade to win a next team fight, and that allows your team to push up, etc. And yeah, it's pretty much like following a tank. So let's say if you're playing dive, right? If you're playing dive, your goal is gonna be to set up your position in the high, like on the high ground. So whenever your monkey is engaging in an enemy backline, for example, you're able to go with him. So like using your dash as execute the target who are low, or just follow up with him. That's like the default Genji, for example. Or let's say you're playing with your Reinhardt and your enemy has a Reinhardt as well, and you're playing behind your Reinhardt. You're not flanking. You're kind of default, you know. And so let's say the enemy Reinhardt uses a fire strike. You can deflect the fire strike back to their team, and by that the Rein won't have ult charge, but for example, your Reinhardt is able to build shatter faster than their Reinhardt. It's very complex, but it's more like default Genji, like you're playing with your team, you're not very flanking a lot, and yeah. In my opinion, here are the pros and cons of playing this playstyle. So let's say it has really low risk and medium rewards. What I'm saying is like very medium reward. So let's say if you compare this playstyle to a playstyle that you are flanking behind alone, like it doesn't have to be alone. Probably like if you're flanking style, more of like a flanking style, like individual style that I will explain later. So let's say if the enemy has a Widowmaker and you are contesting the Widow and you're able to kill the Widow, which is really +1 for you guys. So that's a very good value for Genji. But like if you play behind the Reinhardt and they have a Widowmaker and you're not gonna contest her, and if it's a really good Widow, like the real Kxllswxtch by the way, your team probably gonna fucking die, like disappear. So like your team is gonna be disappear. And the cons of this playstyle is gonna be you're very dependent on your blade. So your ultimate, he relies a lot on blades. So sometimes let's say the enemy has a Zen or Lucio, it's very easy to counter blade with this if the enemy is good of course. So for example, even Xayah Graph, or maybe you fucked up your blade, Zen Transcendent, Lucio Bead, like all of these can cancel the blades, and all of that, like all of the time, your main objective is gonna build blade, and to win fight is not gonna happen. So it's kind of rough to play this playstyle, like building as fast as you can and playing behind your tanks and play safe. So this is what I think. Not sure if it kind of makes sense for you guys, but this is what I came up with. Okay, this is my way of team. So that's the first playstyle I came up with. Default Genji or team-based Genji, honestly. And let's move on the next one. It's called something called like in individual style. So what are you gonna do is gonna be more of flanking and contesting uncontested area, which all Genji players should do, by the way. So let's say you have the enemy Widow on high ground, you should contest the Widow on high ground. You cannot play behind your range shield, as I said before. And if you are a default style and you're not, if you're not confident with your mechanics, you will probably play behind your Rain. But your job as a Genji is contest as much high ground as possible. It's not gonna be team based, so it doesn't matter what kind of tank do you have. You're gonna try to play as much as more like of your own self and try to do your job as Genji, which is contesting high ground, for example. So with this playstyle, it's gonna be high risk and high reward. So what are the risks? Let's say you're contesting a Widow or on Jungle Town. By the way, Jungle Town is really bad for Genji. But let's say they have a Widow and you're Genji and you need to contest her. But the first point of Jungle Town is so big that it's kind of rough to contest the Widow. Let's talk about what are the risks of contesting Widow here. So the chances of you killing a Widow is 50-50. Like it depends a lot on your mechanics, on how good you are. So if you have very bad mechanics and you dive the Widow and she doesn't die, but you die, which means -1 for your team, and you're basically putting no pressure. Like, you're putting a bit of pressure, but you die for it for basically nothing. And Widow is gonna be free again, and she's gonna kill your team. And that's what I think is like very high risk, that because you're playing alone and you need to be confident in your mechanics when it comes to in individual style. And by the way, this doesn't apply only for contesting Widow. For example, the healer. So let's say you see the Ana, if the Ana use nade or sleep or anything, you can engage her. And if you engage her, you're basically alone, and you need to have a really good mechanics in able to execute the Ana with enough damage. So it's more of like 1v1 situation. Like, it's really a lot of about 1v1s. So like, is it either dealing with Widow, Mercy, or Ana? It's more of assassination. You're not trying to like focus your team. So like, even if you have a Reinhardt, you're not gonna play behind the Rain. You're gonna try to take an off angle and try to punish the healer and pressure the healer in the backline, which how Genji is supposed to play, by the way. Alright, so here are the pros of cons that I have wrote below. And what it's gonna be is like the character, the Genji right now, is not gonna be dependent on team. And with a good Mercy, it could be very devastating to push up. So let's say you have really good aim, good mechanics, and if you have a Mercy pocket, you can kill the whole team in the backline, especially if the Mercy has a really good movement. If the enemy is not focusing on Mercy and is gonna focus on you, and you have a good movement, good mechanics, you're able to deal with anyone in 1v1 situation. Because the damage boosted Genji is so broken right now, for me at least. At least that's why I play with a lot of Mercy player. And yeah. So here are the pros and cons. The pros I've mentioned, and the cons is very easy punishable. So let's say the Zarya has bubble. So let's say you try to engage the backline, trying to punish the healer, for example, and all Zarya has to do is press E, and they're gonna punish you easily. And especially if you mess up your dash, you'll be very easy punishable. Cassidy E, we all know the magnetic bomb from Cassidy E. Like, all he has to do is just press E and just like literally flies you like 10 meters away, like, you know, like a missile. Yeah, it's kind of hard to deal with Cassidy. Contesting Cassidy is really hard if you, especially alone on Genji. I mean, and if you don't have a nano blade or anything, or damage booster, like even with damage boost's blade, it's kind of hard to blade a Cassidy with an E. By the way, all he has to do is just one shot, like one primary fire, and stick on E on you, and you don't have any healing, you die. That's it. And the next con is very hard for a new player. So in order to play this in individual style, you gotta like learn the game to understand what kind of position, like where the spot, the position, the angle you need to use, and how do you get to the certain point, you know. But yeah, this is like more individual style. You will probably understand it the longer you play. But if you are really new to Overwatch, I would probably stick with a default style. But like, you can try something new, of course. But if you want to play safe, then just build Nano Blade and play it. Play it until you cannot use Nano Blade anymore. Then you have to go with an individual style. Alright, as I said before, you have to combine this kind of two the two playstyle, right? I'm gonna try to give an example of how I see things in my game, for example. So with default Genji, what I used to do, or at least what I do, is like, so let's say you have 90% on your blade, and at this point you want to play more of a default style, because you want to stay behind your tank and try to build your blade and try to use your blade and to engage the next fight. By doing this, you're gonna be safer when you are trying to engage. So let's say if you are gonna play like an individual style, I would say, so if you have a 90% blade and you're playing in individual style and you're trying to contest a Widow, the chances of you dying to Widow there are still chances of you dying to the Widow, right? So imagine if you die on a Widow, then you have to wait again, then like you have to regroup, and then you use your nano blade. So it's kind of wasting time, you know. So I would say like around like really good tips is probably when you have like an 80 or 90% on blade, play behind your tank, build your blade, and engage with your blade when you can. So the individual style, as I said before, on certain maps you need to play it, for example. So let's say you want to play Genji on Jungle Town, which is a horrible map, as I've mentioned before. They have a Widow, and if you decide to play as a default Genji, you have zero impact in the game. Like literally zero impact. The Widow is gonna kill your whole team, and while she's killing your team, you're gonna be behind your range shield and like deflect, which doesn't make any sense, right? Like, why would you play Genji to stay behind the shield and just try to like poke the whole time? Like now you kind of like see the playstyle of like the default playstyle, like why it's kind of bad at the same time. Like, if you want to stay behind the shield and focus the enemy shield, for example, it's going to be way better to pick Hanzo or Sojourn or anything that's going to be dealing more damage in an open map. I'm not a coach. I'm a content creator. I like doing content. I like helping people. And I actually recently started doing VOD review again on my stream. So if you guys are subbed to me on Twitch, most of the time at the end of the stream, I do 1 or 2 VOD review, and hopefully I try to like help the people build out their habit, how to play Genji better, how to take off angle and doing less mistakes. For example, playing less in the open and play more in an off angle way like I do, for example. But of course, you gotta do a lot of training. And yeah, so you guys have any question, please do not hesitate to comment down below. Let me ask me anything. Join my Discord, by the way. We have 40 boosts on my Discord and it's very big. I've never had this big community before, but I'm very happy. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching, and especially for watching my content. I really enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoy like the way I do my content, and yeah, see you guys later. And sorry for the lights, by the way. I hope I didn't flashbang you. Laters.